to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a roll call of members?
Mr. Johnston. Mr. Francis. Mrs. Irwin Adams. Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Mr. Hoff. Mrs. McGinnis. Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mr. Greenwood. Mr. Cook.
Mr. He will be on, he's supposed to be on Zoom. Is he set up?
Yep. He's on.
Yeah. What's the website for the? Yeah.
Can I have this? Yes.
All right, while we're waiting for me to get my machine, the administration would like to add one motion under facilities to the agenda. Put it on a new business, that way we know where it is. Authorize administration to negotiate a contract to purchase property located at 1216/18 and a half 6th Avenue, Altoona, PA, not to exceed $10,000 plus necessary closing costs, and authorize the administration to take all necessary actions to acquire the property. It's an addendum. It's a verbal addendum to the agenda. Okay. Well, we're going to do that, but they're going to have public comment here in a second. All right. Do I have a motion? Second add to the agenda?
Second. Discussion. No discussion. Those in favor respond by saying aye to add this to the agenda. Aye. Opposed?
So we'll be under new business.
Under new business, okay. I'd like to announce that prior to this meeting, we had an executive session to discuss personnel issues. Now we have a special presentation.
And possible purchase of real estate. Okay. For executive session.
Dr. Malloy and Dr. Pretel, if you want to join us up here. Tonight, we want to recognize a commended student. I'm going to ask Samantha Abbott to join me up here. About 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Commended students placed among the top 50,000 scores of more than 1.6 million students who entered the 2023 competition by taking the 2021 preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. We are very honored this evening to introduce Samantha Abbott, who has earned this recognition. Samantha demonstrates high academic achievement, and we want to take this time this evening to congratulate her on her success. Less than 5% of test takers receive any commendation from the National Merit Program. So Samantha, we are proud to give you this framed letter of commendation from the National Merit Scholarship Program and the School Board Administration. Congratulations on your award and best of luck this year.
Congratulations. Those board agenda items are the most pleasant for all of us. I need to add that for the executive session, we discussed not only personnel issues, but also possible purchase of real estate. Okay, at this point, we will take hearing from citizens. If you wish to address the board, please come to the podium, the microphone, tell us your name. If you live in the school district, and you will have 5 minutes to address us. Anybody want to address the board?
Kelly Bowers, I live in the district. I just had a question. I was curious if the board could explain whenever you go over raises and stuff, why Haley got almost a $9,000 raise. I'm not saying that to attack her or anything. I'm just curious for transparency and such, like where that is, because you go in to try and figure it out and it doesn't have anything because there's no changes in her credentials or her name change or anything like that. So just curiosity.
It's based on the responsibility of the position, the duties that are required, and it also relates to the level of compensation as would be considered market.
Okay, anybody else wish to address the board? Okay, hearing none, let's move to the agenda. First is a resolution of the Board of Directors. It's a tax resolution. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Okay, and do you want to tell us a little bit about this, Sue or Camilla or Dr. P?
Earlier this year, the governor signed into law a statement indicating that all municipalities needed to pass this resolution to cover new homeowners or new property owners. So should, for some reason, they not receive their tax bill, this allows or requires the municipality to waive any penalties or interest that may apply within the first year of taxation. It does require them to fill out an affidavit saying they did not receive the paperwork and to make payment at the time they submit that paperwork indicating they didn't receive their tax bills. So this resolution should be passed not only by the school district, but by Blair County, the city of Altoona, Logan Township, and Tyrone Township, so every municipality within our taxing district.
And this would put us in compliance then with Act 57?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the resolution, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay, number 5, minutes. We have the approval of the board minutes from 9/6/22, the approval of the committee of the whole minutes from 9/19/22. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And do we have a second? Any discussion? Those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Finance, list of payments. A. B, financial reports. Do we have a motion on those? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay, policy. A, we have 9 policies on the agenda for the first reading. Do we have a motion on those? Is there a second? Second, is there a second? Okay. Discussion. Okay, hearing none. Those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 8, education. We have A, cooperative agreement with Mount Aloysius for dual enrollment. B, elementary field trips. C, volunteer approval. D, Penn State College of Health and Human Development, Child Health Study Flyers. E, the AASD Health and Safety Plan. F, new teacher induction mentors. G, at-risk graduation credit request. H, Boys and Girls Youth Basketball Program. I, Boys and Girls Rugby Club. and J, out-of-state travel, K, secondary field trips. Lots of items. Do we have a motion on those items? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Dr. Prieto, can you just briefly tell us what the changes in the health and safety plan?
Sure.
This was basically, they're in compliance with the CDC and their expectations. Everything we're doing currently is going to continue. Nothing's going to change in any way, shape, or form, correct?
Yeah, the only changes that I highlighted in yellow, under physical plant. So although we are keeping maximum airflow during the school day, we are back to pre-pandemic routines in terms of air circulation and flow in off student hours. In addition to that, the next piece right under that is we're no longer doing any kind of contact tracing. So that's been updated in there as well. We are still required to report positive cases as they are reported to us. So we will continue that. Our nurses and HR will give us numbers on a weekly basis, and we will upload those to a state-run spreadsheet just to indicate anyone that has reported themselves as being positive or their child being positive. It's a requirement under ARP in Title I that we have to update this plan every 6 months. So pending anything, no changes, we'll review it again in 6 months and go from there. The CDC updated their recommendations in August 11th, I believe it was, and we indicated that in there with what their recommendations are in terms of isolation and whatnot, and those are updated in here as well.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
The rugby club, why are we looking at rugby instead of lacrosse? It seems like lacrosse is more of a sport that's gaining interest.
We were approached by a rugby club that's already operating successfully in Blair County. I mean, we haven't been approached by anybody with regards to lacrosse. It's, sorry, it's no cost to the school district. It's a club. It's been operating out of Hollidaysburg for several years. And we just thought it'd be another opportunity to give kids an additional outlet. Wouldn't be opposed to lacrosse. I don't know what the season is, if it's fall, spring. I know there was some concern expressed about, kids leaving other sports to play these sports and harming these other teams. Can't speak to that. I guess that's a possibility, but my position has been just to give more opportunities to kids rather than less and let them decide. And so if lacrosse came across the plate and it didn't cost the school district money, like if there was a lacrosse club, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. If anybody wants to bring anything to our attention, I'm all up for hearing about it.
Do they play other schools then, or is it just like in-house?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a club. Hollidaysburg, some of our children or some of our kids already play for the Hollidaysburg team. So we felt that if we offered it and we were able to field a team, great. If we can't field a team, then it doesn't progress, I guess.
Okay.
And our kids could continue to participate in the Hollidaysburg club.
Right, this is basically, if there's enough interest, we'll do it. That's basically it, boys and girls.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Those in favor of these items, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, personnel. We have A, personnel agenda items, B, the superintendent goals, C, a memorandum of agreement, D, change of title status classification. Is there a motion on those 4 items?
I have a clarification. The memorandum of agreement, state recommended, says administration.
Yeah, great, right. I got a puddle now too. All right. Administration recommends the approval of the memorandum of agreement with AFSCME and further authorizes the superintendent or his designee to take any and all actions necessary to effectuate same. What that means is the superintendent or its designee to ensure the transfers listed in the memorandum of agreement occur effectively and efficiently.
I can see the attachment now, so I'm all good there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any questions or discussion? Okay, those in favor of these
Wait, we didn't have a motion in a second, did we?
Oh, I thought we did, okay.
No, because
Ahead
I
of
do have
myself.
discussion.
Okay, we need a motion then.
I'll make it.
Is there a second? Okay, now we'll have discussion.
Okay, so my discussion is related to D, the change in title, status, and classification. I did send an email to the other board members, so they're kind of aware of my viewpoints, but I just wanted to highlight them in the public meeting. So this in no way reflects on the individuals that are up for the change in title or classification or the pay raises. I just believe that a more researched rationale for the adjustment in salaries is needed. Raises for these 5 individuals vary from 7 to 13%, and the individuals already received the 3 or 3.25% raise back in July, along with the $1,000 retention bonus. So in my opinion, I feel like we're not demonstrating fiscal responsibility. I, of course, would love to give everyone in our district a raise, but I'm not sure that this is equitable by handpicking 5 positions. I feel like the figures, the raises were arbitrarily picked, and I'm not sure that we reevaluated all positions. So I think we should have looked at all the positions. Dr. Prietel provided some data supporting the 5 positions that were chosen, but I don't think that we looked across the board at all the positions that we have in our district. Additionally, we made 2 title changes in 2021 on February 16th and on June 21st. 2 of the positions tonight. When I had asked when those title changes took place, if there was going to be any impact for finances, Dr. Prietel both times stated, and I quote, "There will be no budgetary impact." And now it's a year and a half later, and we're asking for increases for these 2 individuals. We lost a lot of valuable experienced teachers this past year, and mainly to State College, but we lost some to other places, and we did not once consider giving them a 7 to 13% raise to retain them. So I just respectfully asked you all to think long and hard before agreeing to these pay raises, because I don't believe that our budget can continue when we're exceeding our revenues. Our expenditures are exceeding our revenues.
So the teachers are under contract, so we have nothing to do with that. We can't help them. People, and they left for more money. Basically, people left for more money or to be closer to home. And the individuals that you mentioned, yeah, just like teachers, they could go. And they're pretty good individuals, and I don't want to lose them. So,
my point is that we have other individuals that we don't want to lose too.
I'm sure we do, but these were the individuals that were picked out by the administration for an increase in pay or change of classification. And I see nothing wrong with it. They all do a good job, and we're lucky to have them.
I think they all do a great job, but I'm worried about the windfall that it's going to create with other people coming to us.
If it creates, we cross that bridge when we come to it. If people don't like it or they want to leave because we're giving 5 key people or 6 key people a raise, then let them leave and let them come and talk to the administration for an increase.
Okay,
But
well, I'm
these
concerned,
people,
we never open these positions. We're changing the titles. We never open the positions. We might have other candidates that we're
the thing
interested.
is we have these people in place right now, and they're doing the job right now. And why would you open a position when you have experience in these positions and you have?
We're not changing anybody else's salary.
What we're doing is giving people the raise or change of status or classification because they're loyal, they're good employees, and we want to keep them.
Right. And I think the discussion we've had before about this, and basically we had quite a bit of data to review, it basically showed that compared to other school districts, people in similar positions were earning much more money. And this is a
However,
matter of fairness.
The data did not it did not show any other Blair County schools. It only compared school districts in other areas. So
A
say
similar
affiliate or
Size and budget.
And wealth.
It doesn't do the aid ratio thing, did it? I mean,
No.
it just, with our size and budget, and it didn't throw in the poverty level, I don't think
No,
either.
no.
So, it's, you can look at data's screwed in America, whatever way you look at it, it's not gonna be
Well,
exact.
I know you can skew any of the data to support your decision. But I mean, we also didn't look at some of these positions that we're discussing have 2 people in place. And when I was looking at some of the other districts, they only have 1 person in place.
Well,
I would just offer that I did a lot of personal research on my own time on this, and I appreciate what you're saying, Kelly, and I get it. I would state publicly that I'm not willing to revisit this type of situation often. I would expect that administration has identified these individuals, and I'd like to settle on these individuals. I'm not willing to consider somebody else next month and somebody else in 2 months or 3 months. Based on my research, these appeared reasonable. But then that's it for me moving forward. I don't want this to be something that we continue to revisit on a quarterly basis or half-year basis or whatever. So that's all I would like to say. I think I get Kelly's point, but based on some of the stuff that I looked at, these are reasonable. But that'll be it for me moving forward for some time.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's do that one as a roll call vote. Okay, so we need then to, any other discussion on those? So we would be voting on A, B, and C. We had a motion and a second. Those in favor of those 3 items respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? D, the change of title status classification. Do a roll call.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Hoff, Mr. Greenwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
No.
Mr. Johnston, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Okay, so
it passes 5-2.
5-2, okay. Student services. We have a number of items. We have A, the UPMC Western Behavioral Health of the Alleghenies, LOA. The B, the Alternative Community Resource Program, LOA. Do we have a motion on those items? Is there a second? Second, discussion? Okay, those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 11, business operations. A, we have the Amtran drivers. B, the repository bids, and there are quite a few of those. C, the capital reserve list of payments. D, change orders for capital project soft cost. E, capital project closeout. F, purchase of a district vehicle. Do we have a motion on those items? Is there a second? Discussion.
Item D, the $20,000 to repair the streetlights If it happened during construction, I think it has to go back on the contractors to pay for it, and which leads to item E. I'd be willing to take the $10,000 that we owe Orr as the final payment, and that's pretty much half. And just close everything out with that. So I'm a no on C, D, and E.
Any other discussion? Ron?
Take the 10,000 that we owe Orr on E, and put that to change order on D.
I think that should have been discussed with the total board, the D and E. I'm against both of them personally. And I just think the total board should realize what's going on in those two areas, because it was done at the building and ground. So I don't know if the rest of the board's up to snuff on this or what, but I personally, I think you find out what's going on with it. We should be transparent about it, that that the city is telling us to pay repairs for something that we're not responsible for, that the contractor should be responsible for. And the closeout on the capital project, we shouldn't have to pay anything. We should just close out, and whatever is owed is owed, but we shouldn't negotiate any prices or any money with the closeout.
The closeout represents the conclusion of the contract. There are no additional fees, etc. We did receive, several donations from J.C. Orr. We have closed out with the other companies. I and the business office and the director of facilities and grounds believe the change order with the city has been negotiated down to a fair settlement for all the work that they had to do in repairing the streetlights around the facility, whether it be down 7th Avenue, up 6th Avenue, 14th, etc.
The closeout amount is what?
It's approximately $65,000, but that's actually contractually owed.
So that will come out of the total money that's left over from the project is how much?
Approximately $250,000 to $300,000.
So that 65 comes out of that.
Yes. Likewise, the $20,000 will come out of that also.
The 20,000 for the
to pay for the light repairs.
But the thing is I don't think we should pay for the whole light repair thing at all. And the closeout, I think it should be a little more negotiation going on with that. I think the prices, we're probably giving them up too much, I think.
The closeout impacts us. There's no impact to the closeout whatsoever.
Paying for COVID tests, correct? Basically, and what was the turnout on that? What?
Any COVID expenses we have, we had a credit where we traded it against any COVID expenses that J.C. Orr had.
Right, and J.C. Orr charged us how much for the COVID test?
They didn't charge. It's all the cleaning that had to be done because they had to clean on every break. But it's the stations, the wash stations, and all the things they were required to put in by CDC. We did the actual supplying a nurse and taking temperatures and that kind of thing. We did it for the entire job site.
So we paid for that, correct?
Yes.
But we didn't pay for the COVID stations or different things, but.
None of the COVID stations, none of the COVID cleaning, none of that.
And that's our responsibility to clean that up. I mean, that was the district's responsibility.
That would be an additional cost to us.
To us, and even though they get COVID money.
They didn't receive COVID money in the newspaper or wherever it was reported, they received payroll support, but they didn't receive specifically a reimbursement from FEMA to cover that emergency medical
at that
expenses.
time. Did they receive any after?
Not for this job, no.
Can we verify that, I mean, there were a bunch of different classes of money that you could get in COVID relief. Is there any way of verifying that they didn't get any? I'm not talking about the PPP stuff. There was other funding available for other things. And if they did, I think it would be applicable to this situation, because obviously when they bid this was unforeseen. But I think some of these emergency funding situations that were given out were to address these situations. I would like to know more before I'm willing to spend.
Well, then what we're going to need to do is we will administratively will request to remove D and E. We will schedule a closeout meeting with JCOR where all these things can be discussed and negotiated.
So what you have to do, whoever made the second has to,
Okay.
Carl, correct? Whoever made the second has to,
Allow us to remove those two items.
remove it and then, table those two items till the
I'm not
next
going to
meeting.
table them because we don't know if it's going to last.
Move it from the agenda.
Just, we're going to pull it because we'll go through the process, because that might not fall in a time frame to be voted on in November. It may be December. You table it, we have to put it on the agenda to be voted on the next meeting. So we're going to pull it. We're going to have that closeout meeting, get a negotiated settlement just like we did with Farfield, and we'll bring it back to the board.
Okay.
Can you provide some insight on this street light thing with the city?
Well, there's two things. First of all, there are streetlights that didn't work prior to construction, and there are streetlights that didn't work because of construction. We had a bill with the city, which was approximately $43,000. Am I correct, Doug? It was over $40,000. Doug negotiated that bill down to approximately $20,000 and change. They were charging us for trucks. They were charging us, like if they brought a truck and they put it in the street, they were charging us for that vehicle. We got them to remove all that fluff out of their bill and get it down to actual man hours. And it's a $20,000 bill to basically make sure all of our streetlights are totally functioning and working appropriately around this, shall we say, 6-block area.
So we're going to pull from the agenda D and E?
Yes.
Okay, and who made the original motion for all the items?
Mr. Johnston made the motion and Mr. Hoff seconded it.
Okay, would you agree to pulling these items, make the motion, Ron? And Eric to second it? So any discussion on pulling the items? We had a motion, a second. Those in favor of pulling D and E, respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And we have on the table items A, B, C, and F. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, those in favor of those items respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Facilities and maintenance. A, we have the replacement of a HVAC unit.
HVAC, yes.
B, the junior high gym floors. And we had an additional addendum added, the purchase of property. So do we have a motion on those items? Is there a second? Okay, discussion?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to attend the facilities meeting, but can you get me up to speed on the junior high gym floors? I thought we just did something with them recently.
Yes, every year we scuff or disc, whatever you call it. They basically abrade the floor and they put another layer on it. So for that gym floor, that's usually like a $10,000 to $12,000 bill to do the junior high gyms. There is an issue with some dust in the doorways, which we could have them come back and repair, but it's going to look like a patch. It's not major. It doesn't affect how the playability isn't on the gym floor itself. So we reached an agreement. We would hold $4,000 of their closeout. Basically, their bill for $45,000. We would hold $4,000 of that as a bid bond. And then next summer, they're going to come back and they're going to give us next summer's additional coat, the scuff in the coat, which is normally $10,000 to $12,000. They're going to do it for $4,000. which means we're going to get a great deal on getting that second seal on the floor. And likewise, as instead of having patches for whoever knows how long those are going to show up.
Okay. Any other questions? Those in favor of these items, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. New business, election of PSBA 2023 leadership positions. How does this work?
We sent this out on Friday. What we would like the board to do is to complete the ballots and turn those in so that we can tally them, and then we can report our selection for these PSBA positions back to PSBA.
There actually are no ballots. There's one person or two people for each open position. So there's no opposition to it. So you either approve the slate of candidates for those positions, or if there's one of the positions you don't want to approve, you can make that known. Their bios were sent out.
So it's a single vote then?
It's a
So
single
a single
vote.
vote where we would approve the candidates listed on the agenda, and some of them, we got some pictures of them. Other than that, we probably don't know a thing about them. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this slate of individuals who are running for these positions in PSBA? Is there a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now let's go to things we do understand. Under that, B is the revised district 2022-23 calendar, pre-K counts 22-23 calendar. D, the revised Lex 22-23 calendar. E, athletics use of facilities. Do we have a motion on those items?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, committee and student representative reports. Well, we had it under facilities, purchase of property. Sure.
I don't know if I need a motion or not, but back on, before many of you were on the board, on July 13th, 2020, we voted into action that the school board would see exit interviews for all employees minus the names of the employees. And we discussed having a standard form at that time. I'm sure Dave and Frank probably remember we discussed it. They voted for it. Since that time, we've only seen exit interviews once or twice. I asked Mr. Cack about it, and he said he has been having verbal exit interviews with them. I'm thinking there's probably a breakdown in communication with the changing of the human resources director, but I would like to get back to having some sort of standard form for exit interviews and the board being able to view those.
It's not an issue.
Well, the last time we heard it was probably, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago, but it wasn't a form. It was like whatever they wanted to tell us.
And
So
we lost a lot of people.
We had the comments from the actual Google survey 9 months ago, and we will reinstitute that and that will continue moving forward.
So, I mean, from the Google survey, is that, like, we had
They do a Google exit survey that they fill out and they submit. It's their exit survey. You may do exit interviews on top of that, but you actually have where we physically.
okay, and there are comments on there, and, okay, and we can see that without modifications. Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's something we wouldn't need to vote on.
No, it should be done. I'm sorry that I didn't give you a chance to remind you. I think you were kind of be honest with you, I think we're just happy that we're in as good a shape teacher-wise at this point as we are.
I'm gonna be honest, I talked to him and he was more than willing to do it. He just wasn't really aware of what was going on, so I just wanted to make sure that, he wasn't aware of the form that was used prior to him starting in the position of.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Do we have any committee chair reports? Board president's report? No, don't have one. Superintendent's report?
I would like your take.
Okay, Caitlin.
Good evening. I'd like to take a moment to mention some current and upcoming events happening in the Altoona Area School District. All schools in the district are having a successful school year, and our athletic teams are appreciating the immense support. On Thursday of last week, the high school welcomed William Robinson to speak to a group of students about his experiences as a prisoner of war. He was held in captivity for 7.5 years during the Vietnam War, and he is the only American to be held in captivity for that length of time. This past week, the high school underwent homecoming festivities with Theme Week, Games Night, the dance, and the football game this past Friday. Here, the homecoming royal, Abby Hernkane, who represents girls basketball, was crowned. Congratulations goes out to all the candidates. The first round of fundraising for the junior and senior class is wrapping up with the Mariana's fundraiser due this Wednesday, October 5th. However, many clubs and organizations within the high school are selling Gardner's Candy's original peanut butter meltaways for $1 per candy bar. Another way to support students in the community is through the Mountain Lion Backpack Program. Students from the Altoona Area High School Student Council, Mountain Echo, and Horseshoe staff will be accepting donations of canned and prepackaged foods this Saturday, October 8th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the high school B building parking lot. This will support elementary children with food for the weekend throughout the school year. A few suggested donation items include Pop-Tarts, soup, macaroni and cheese, fruit and pudding cups, and small cereal boxes. Additionally, all district schools are able to serve breakfast to all students pre-K through grade 12 free of charge. Breakfast will be served grab-and-go style in a brown bag. There will be a hot and cold option, and options will vary at each school. This will apply through the remainder of the school year. Finally, junior high and high school conferences will be held next week. Junior high conferences will be held on Tuesday, October 8th from 4 to 7 p.m., and high school conferences will be held Thursday, October 13th from 4 to 7 p.m. All parents are encouraged to attend. Thank you.
Excellent report.
How did
Thank
you enjoy the POW speaker with Mr. Robinson? Is that what you said his name was? How was it? Oh, you didn't, stupid. I'd like to have known about it because I'd like to have heard him, met him. Those of us that are of that age that were in the service at that time, close to Vietnam, but not necessarily in Vietnam, would like to, it's nice to get around people and talk to them.
It was pretty powerful, and our kids were definitely impacted. They were wonderful throughout the presentation. A good many of them come up to pay their respects and also ask questions. It was moving.
Perhaps we should all be invited, though. We should all be invited to speakers like that.
Okay. We have for information only the payment of college credits for October, policy committee summary, C, facilities committee meeting summary, other comments, employee union response, middle management response. No other items on the agenda. Could we have a motion for adjournment? Second, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Respond by saying anybody opposed. Okay, good evening.